I worked in a public safety environment for 21 years and know that there are consequences of working in a very difficult, hazardous duty environment. And I consider the brain to be an actual piece of the body, and it deserves the same protection as any other organ of the body should it get injured during work. We expect our law enforcement folks to act professional every day that they go out and represent us, and I think it is our responsibility to provide them the resources that they need to be healthy every day on the job. It is important to recognize that the state has not done the best it can on mental health issues, and I think we need to do better.
My brothers and sisters in blue fully support SB 134. Excluding PTSD from workers' compensation coverage is wrong on every level. Severe emotional trauma is an injury, and as such should be compensable. Currently, 32 states include PTSD under workers' comp, and that includes every single state in the Northeast from New Jersey to Maine. Absent this protection, more and more police officers are left with no choice but to continue working when they have suffered PTSD, because they have no safety net at all. Working with PTSD is a financial and emotional struggle that no emergency responder should have to bear. PTSD is a public safety issue that must be addressed now. In a socially progressive state like Connecticut, it's unfortunate that this coverage is still excluded for first responders. If the members of our state legislature care at all about the men and women in uniform who protect and serve the citizens of Connecticut, and I believe they do, they will act now and pass this law. To do anything less would be a disservice to those who serve the most.
Mental injuries are, in fact, real injuries, just as physical injuries are, and that should be recognized in our workers' compensation system. To try to say, as we do now, that we won't recognize mental injuries unless accompanied by a physical injury really does not reflect modern science. As Senator Osten said, these injuries are just as real, whether they are accompanied by a physical component or not. And I believe a terrible mistake was made back in 1993 when that change was made. But there is no reason why we should require that there be a physical injury to justify an injury or accompanying an injury where someone suffers a psychological trauma as a result of a workplace incident. This bill, dealing with the benefit for our public safety workers, is a beginning in the process of restoring that right.
I've seen many times, whether with state police or with the city police, the various calls that they have to make, and really a hard part of their job. And when this legislation came, and Senator Osten deserves so much credit for bringing this to all of our attention, that it's so evident by the ride-alongs that I've done to see why this legislation is so necessary. Day in and day out, our police officers put their lives at risk. They respond to calls that none of us would want to respond to. I've been on calls where I've seen things that I'm grateful that I get to still stay in the car and not have to get out and respond the way they respond. And so therefore, as leaders of the state, it's incumbent upon us to protect our men and women in blue. Mental health is the same as any other kind of physical health that we have for our police officers, our firefighters, EMS, or anybody who goes out day in and day out and sees the kinds of things that none of us really want to see as civilians. So this legislation is important, it's fair, and we should pass it this year and put it on the governor's desk for his signature. Thank you very much.
And some of the things that happen between police officers and firemen and the things that they witness, it certainly has to be traumatic to them, and to think of some of the things that have happened. Some people talked about whether it was one incident. One incident is enough to put you in bad shape for I don't know how long. I'm not a psychologist. But the thing of it is, some of them witness one after the other traumatic incidents, and it's something for them to remember for a long time. We should have passed this bill last year, and there are some of us that are in the Senate, whether they be Republicans or Democrats, we're all in favor of passing this bill, and we got together and we passed it. And I hope that it will be passed in the House this year, too. Thank you.